it is. Blues to Duke TV. Wow, that was my old theme song. Thank you, Lisa K. Dieter, for that. And to Chandler for queuing it up again. Appreciate you being here. It's 29th of October. I've been seeing lots of costumes lately. It's a little bit scary. I mean, they're half naked, and I'm layered up going, I'm already cold. So anyway, thanks for being here. Thank you for providing space. The Seattle Drum School is here, and I just happen to be in the middle of it. It's the lab. It's the performance space where my Cadillac parts are hanging, and I'm so grateful for that. So, and we do have an audience today. Both of them are here. Both of them. You're right. Sorry, but I'm honored and thrilled to have a guest I've never had on my show who teaches here at the Seattle Drum School, and has played trumpet and been a part of the scene for years. So it's really my bad for not interviewing you before now. But you're not a blues guy, so I missed you. But Chris Littlefield, thank you for being here. CD, they call you.
Yes, they do. And Marlee, thank you so much for having me.
Waking you up, get you up.
I am honored.
You work late. You work always late.
I just work all the time. So.
You do work all the time.
I don't know how to not do something.
Well, it's true. What is it? Musicians teach, and they, what's the term? Brain fart. They expect money, but the real result is when the student is uplifted and starts playing music.
Oh, that's absolutely true.
That's your paycheck.
Yeah, that is. And then, but that's also true, I think, just about every aspect of being a musician. You know, I mean, it's true that, as being an instructor, we do learn as much as we teach, probably sometimes more. And I think the return that we get in that experience is even more profound. Than the information that we're sharing or espousing with them.
Well, now, you went to Central.
Yeah, I did.
Central Washington University in the middle of what, Ellensburg?
Geographic center of the state.
That's not where you were born, though.
No.
Where were you
born? California.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what brought you to CWU?
Oh, well.
Seattle and Central Washington University.
I did not come here directly. So I came here from Oakland, California, because my mother got remarried. My stepfather worked for the naval base in Bremerton, so that's where we landed, and that was about 11. So I came from Oakland, California, the Bay Area, the hub, the center of the Black Panther Party. Over in Berkeley, there was the whole alternative counterculture hippie movement. And the same thing with University of Berkeley. Didn't live but maybe a mile or two from that.
Well, now, when did you pick up the trumpet? When did you find music?
When I landed here.
Or did it find you?
So we landed here, and I was in the middle of, I finished 6th grade. Then I went into 7th grade. Now we call it middle school. Back then it was junior high. And
this is going to take an hour if we do this.
I'm just going to take my time.
But there's so much to talk about.
7th grade.
Okay.
That's when I started.
That's when it hit you?
That's when it hit. Then high school, or junior high school, Central Washington University, which is actually that way. And then back to Seattle after I left college. I was in and out of college, but I didn't finish my degree, but I think I left 91, something like that. So it was when I landed here. It was about 90, 91. And this is after I went out on a big band tour. So I got a big band tour, went back to school, decided I'm going to leave. I'm going to go play, seek my fortune as a musician. Go out and cut my teeth, and that's when I landed here.
And you knew you were going to be a teacher along with performing? Is that because you went to CWU with that in mind?
No, and that's the thing. It's like I started out to be a music educator, and then I left that path, sought my life as a performing musician, and then went full circle.
Yeah. Well, you came back to it, but, you kind of have to get some performing experience to then teach, right? I mean, or do you?
Not necessarily. I wish that was required. I wish there were more performing artists or teaching artists, as it were. I mean, there's a great deal of validity in that and experience, teaching from the voice or position of experience.
Well, now, you've been at the Seattle Drum School for a number of years.
Since the dawn of time.
I think the text on the Seattle Drum School is like, wait, it said 10 years. I know it's been longer than that. And
the drum school being here?
No, the bio on there for you, it says you have one daughter. You have two daughters now.
That was probably, yeah, I do. I have.
You got to keep up.
I have both daughters, both of my daughters. I have both of my daughters.
Which is
10
beautiful.
Years. You know, I probably, who knows? I probably wrote that at the point in time when it was about the 10-year
when
mark.
you started, yeah.
Yeah, it's damn near 20 years.
20 years. That's what I thought. You've been here a couple
And
decades.
I coincide that. No, I think it's more like 15 because I started with, I think it was 08. Was it 08, Steve? Do you remember?
Yeah, that was probably it.
Opened in '07, and you came on very, very soon after.
Yeah, it was about a year afterwards. Yeah. Oh, God. So, yeah, 08.
Steve and Christy are our audience, by the way.
Mr. and Mrs. Drum School, ladies and gentlemen.
Right. They got all the answers.
Exactly.
So now you have played in so many groups. You've
Oh, yes,
led
I have.
some.
Oh, interesting story, if I may.
Please.
I don't tell this very often, but it's very profound, and this is probably part of the reason why I'm still here after many dozens of years. A good thing, not a bad thing. It's interesting. I'm telling this for your benefit, Steve, is that I think it was, I don't know, I think I'd only been working for the drum school, and it was down here. I hadn't been working at the North School yet.
Two locations, Lake City and Georgetown.
Oh, that's right. That's good. We clarified those things. So, yeah, I'm working down here, and so I went to go pick up my check. I think I went to go to get a check early. And Mark, who was the manager of the building here at the time, said, well, yeah, just drive up to the North School and, go see Steve, and I'm sure he'll write you a check, and it was really cool. We hadn't had a chance to meet yet. And I think I've been working here for like 3, maybe 6 months, something like that. So I go in, Steve was teaching, knocked on the door, and he's like, huh? Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. You're a trumpet teacher, right?
I'm in the middle of drumming, yeah.
Yeah, and he said, yeah, come on. And I said, how many hours? Is like, I don't know. I tell him, we do everything verbally around here. We don't have a computer. We have an abacus. Any rate, so I told him my hours. He said, okay. He just sat down with the checkbook, and we had never met, literally. And he stops in the middle of writing something. He just looks up at me and he goes, okay, yeah, you're one of the good ones. And then he went back to doing what he was doing. Wrote me the check. Do you remember that?
Vaguely.
Yeah.
Before the interruption.
Of course. The do not disturb sign on the door that doesn't mean anything to anyone. Yeah. It means come on in. It's opposite day, we're at the drum school. So I love telling that story. I don't tell it very often, but, that was, like I said, it was a very profound moment to me. And it resonates.
You fit right in. And I felt the same way when I got here. I mean, it was like Steve gave me the keys the day I met him. And I was like, okay, this is my new home. This is my second home. I'm going to be here a lot.
And that's the thing. And it absolutely applies to you as well.
Right.
And the KZ, when she started working here, it was one of those things. It's like, oh, that makes perfect sense. It was like, duh, why didn't we think of this sooner?
Well, and you do the band camps, which is essential to what they do here. And you're like the leader of that. Tell me about the band camps.
The band camp is my brainchild. And I started that 7 years ago, a couple years before the pandemic. It's contemporary band for wind and rhythm instruments. And it was one of those things, and this is all back in the day. It's a good thing that you guys are here to hear this kind of stuff. A little bit of the insight, some of the things, the inner workings, if you didn't already know. But there's a point in time, I think, it was probably a little more pervasive. People complaining about certain things and griping about.
Oh, it happens.
Oh yeah, and everybody knows how to run a business better than Steve and Christy. That was the other thing too.
I've been there. Yeah,
it is. Well, okay. Here's a story about you. We were talking about certain things like this, Christy. We were talking about, I think it was scheduled. This is also, I think, when the new building, you guys got the new lease, and we're talking about ideas and getting things done. It might have been the point in time when I was pitching the band camp or something like that. And Christy, she's so succinct sometimes. I love this about her. And she just looked at me and she smiled. She's like, well, Chris, Seattle Drum School is full of a lot of idea people.
Everybody's got ideas, right?
Exactly. And this is also in light of me talking about certain things. And I was a little bit of a detractor from time to time and realized, but then I also came to the realization that, hey, wait a minute, there's nobody stopping me from like going and instigating these sort of things. There's no one stopping me saying, no, don't approach the bosses, with this great idea.
Or you have to jump this high.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so I went and did it. And Steve goes, yeah, sure, make it happen.
Cool.
That was it.
Right.
And I went to on this. So the thing is, what happened with Christy and I is after she'd made that statement, the drum school is full of idea people. She wanted to explain why that is and why they just kind of say yes, and they've sort of distanced themselves at a certain point with that because they'd been approached, and this is a sad part of the inner workings in the history of the drum school. But I mean, there's the comedy without tragedy, right? So she basically explained about how many wonderful ideas had been presented to them and they got on board with, and that had never been brought to fruition. And they got left holding the bag. And then some of those ideas, as good as they were costly.
Yeah.
That was not my intent, nor is. And then 7 band camps later,
Yeah, you had some fun this summer. I was digging it when I was hearing Sesame Street 3-part harmony horns rehearsing, and I was like, can I just stay? Da, da, da,
and yes, you can.
Da, 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 and the harmonies were incredible, and it was horns. And when do you get to hear that? So yeah,
not nearly enough.
And you're planting seeds. Now, some of these people are not going to be professional musicians, but they're going to have music in them to deal with life. Tell me about improvisation, because I know you do electronica, you do jazz. You're not a blues guy at all, really, but you do
yes and no,
everything. You got to learn the blues. You got to learn the blues to do everything.
Yeah, I play the blues, but I'm not a blues musician per se. But I'm also not a jazz musician per se, or an electronica, or a Latin guy.
Even though you were on the
whatever.
cover of Earshot Jazz just recently.
Well, and that's the thing. The spirit of jazz is so many things. Blues is
also a big word.
Fundamental.
Yeah.
It's at the basis of pop culture music. That's it. But what was the question?
So
what was improvisation?
Yeah.
This is improvisation.
Yeah. Talking.
Right now. This is improvisation. Everybody does it.
Right.
That just came to me. Somebody write that down. It's a good thing we're recording.
Well, and as a trumpeter, you're a soloist. You sing what a vocalist would sing as a lead performer, right? You do the lead line.
Exactly. And the thing is, improvisation, when I draw the comparison to this is improvisation, I'm not reading a script. I'm not reading, and when I'm improvising, playing music, I'm not reading a chart. I'm not reading sheet music. No. You're trying to invent something spontaneously. That is the literal definition of improvisation.
And half of that is listening. Half of communicating is listening. People forget that part.
Yeah.
It's one of the most intimate things you can do is watch people play music because they're not talking. They're just listening to each other.
They are, if they're listening.
Yeah.
Like this. That's why I'm saying this is improvisation, because I'm listening to what you're saying or asking or inquiring about, and then I respond.
And dialogue is part of it, yeah.
And
no monologues here.
Yeah, and that's the listening part of being in a band, too.
Okay, so many bands. Let's just do the list, okay? I was taking notes. You started around before 2000. 700 Club, Baltic Room, those were kind of scenes. Tell me about those scenes that you were part of.
That is the beginnings of, and this is also a point in time where I was cutting my teeth, right? And then also coming up, but also finally starting to develop a name for myself, which I wasn't aware of, but I just happened to gravitate to all these places. Now, the 700 Club, Baltic Room, that was like Scarlet Tree,
right.
Das Root.
All of itself.
All that stuff. Mock Tube. And I was playing in Fat City Smokehouse. This is also at the height of, or as the acid jazz period was sort of waning.
Right, and I remember talking about these groups, but I was into blues, so my focus was in there. But over here, I kept mentioning Fat City Smokehouse. I had Crack Sabbath in my calendar, Das Root, Jambalaya, Bass Ackwards. Tell me about that.
Oh, that was my Bass Ackwards. That you guys never heard about Bass Ackwards, did you? I should play you some of my stuff. That was my, and I coined this term, not to be egotistical or arrogant or anything like that. Boom bap jazz.
Boom bap?
Yeah, because I didn't know I didn't want to call it like hip hop jazz or funk jazz or all kind of stuff. And I was just thinking about, boom bap was hip hop, and it's hip hop based and all these kind of grooves at that point in time. So this is the 90s, late 90s. So all this stuff was right in the heart of all that. The 700 Club, Baltic Room, all that. This is all right in the heart of the scene of what we later called it, the Seattle groove scene, which again was all improvisationally based music. The entire nights, all of them.
Right. Right.
I think Crack Sabbath had a residency, the 700 Club, and they were one of the only bands that didn't have a completely improvised agenda. So, and when I say these sort of things like working with Reggie Watts, that's what, we started working together. Steve Scalfani, Thaddeus Turner, and Davis Martin, Das Root at the Scarlet Tree, completely improvised. That was one of the best groove ensembles that ever, probably the pinnacle of all that. Mm-hmm. And Steve Scalfani was playing keys. Interesting story about this one is that band was so good at improvising, and everybody on the bandstand played like they had producer ears.
Wow.
And
so they're really listening to each other. Yeah.
Yes, but in a very unique way. Nobody was playing anything to draw attention to themselves. It wasn't like they were playing because they were waiting to get to solo.
Right.
They were like listening with intent, like, where's my part? I have to invent something. We're creating something on the scene right here in this moment. And they're thinking about these songs. All of us were thinking about it as a track. Everything we did sounded like a track.
Right.
People were saying, like, did you? No, you guys are not making that up. I'm like, yeah, we are. Well, same band model for that. James Corden, the Late Late Show. Reggie Watts is on that. Das Root was the model for that. That night, that band, 7 years, Steve Scalfani's on that show too. So keyboard player and director. That is the basis, the model. Das Root is that band. Just not the same players.
One of the conversations we had in the kitchen here was about the spirituality of improvisation. What do you have to say to that? What speak to that? Because that had to.
That
be
was a setup.
Well,
that's pretty heavy, bro. I never would have thought of it as spirituality. We'll be right back with a few moments on the spirituality of improvisation.
I love the conversations here at the drum school. So Seattle Drum School is a happening place for many reasons. The kitchen is just one of them.
Exactly. And never a dull moment here at the Seattle Drum School.
Get a little coffee and you. But it was Amy Denio, yourself, KZ. I don't know. I asked a question and deep into it we got.
It sounds like a house party.
Well, and we don't have to answer that question here and now because this is about you.
Yeah.
You have
but doesn't everything always lead or wind up or happen in the kitchen? When you go to a house party, it's like everybody's wanting the best conversations take place in the kitchen.
It's the warmest room in the house. You know,
and it's where the
everything
food is
else is cold. Right about now, we realize that the warmest room in the house is the kitchen. So let's
the
gather
epicenter
there. So now you did. You did 5 years with Carl Denson's Tiny Universe on the road.
20 years.
20 years?
Yeah.
Okay, that bio's old. 5.
Yeah, that was old. So 20 years. So it coincides with being here at the drum school. So I was only, it was exactly 20 years. So it was 01 to 2021. Right,
and then the pandemic took over and Carl couldn't tour anymore.
No, nobody could,
So you were doing Cornucopia and Tuatara. See, there's more group names. Tell me about those groups.
That was all the same time as like the waning of Fat City for me.
Okay.
And 700 Club, Baltic Room, Scarlet Tree. Still doing all that stuff. I was still doing the improv scene quite a bit. Cornucopia and Bass Sacrifice almost existed concurrently. Cornucopia was another brainchild, was another outlet for my composition, my writing, and vision. I wanted a band that was, musically I was inspired by groups like Count Basie, Earth, Wind & Fire, Steely Dan, Ricky Lee Jones, Miles Davis. But I had envisioned a band with 3 horns, 2 singers, keys, bass, drums, guitar, and percussion. So I don't know what I was thinking when I decided to put together a 10-piece band. But it was a grand idea. And, we actually made it all the way to, we got booked into Bumbershoot a year later. And we did a recording live with Jack Straw, which was really cool. That's when I met Abe Beeson. And it was a glorious thing, but it was a lot of work. And I was kind of new and green, but I think I was definitely overly ambitious. But as a composer, writer, I was finally getting some works out. Same thing with Bass Sacker. Bass Sacker was a little bit easier, and it was more collaborative. Smaller group. But we also used some standards as well that we modified.
And your composing is a big part of your world these days. Talk to me about your composing.
Oh, quite a bit. And it's really funny to think. Well, you know how the passing of time works. All of a sudden you start out here and you go you're looking forward, and it's like, oh man, it's gonna take forever. Oh well, I guess I better get started.
One bite at a time.
Yeah, that's it. And then I don't know, 500 songs later, 30 years later, here you are. You look back and it's like, how did I? Oh yeah, it was.
I was doing that.
Back when.
Mm-hmm. Well, now, do you help other people manifest their compositions, or is it more about you writing and getting your stuff recorded? Are you wearing the producer hat?
I am.
For other people?
What I'm doing mostly, and it's funny because that word, I'm still leery of it, and there's a reason for it because in this day and age, especially, I mean, there's so many. You can throw a stick and hit a producer, right? Everybody's a producer these days.
Right.
And
wanted to be one at one point. I don't
yeah,
know.
well, you probably are already, and you didn't know. You can use the title. But see, my notion of producer, especially in music, all that kind of stuff, is a little different. We're older, right?
You don't have to mention
when
that.
I heard somebody says, producer, the first thing that comes to mind, I'm thinking Dr. Dre or Quincy Jones. And then these guys that cut their teeth. I mean, they really earned the title producer, and they're also not running around behind that too. They're not looking at the world through producers' eyes. They're not worried and concerned about the title.
Sure.
There's a lot of people that adopt a title for something, and they just figure that, oh, now I'm such and such and so and so, and this is like, yeah, I've experienced it here for shows. Youngins come in. It's like we're doing something and setting up a band and dealing with this, that, and the other, and some person you didn't see before, the load in, and just shows up and starts wanting to do stuff on stage, and it's like, and who are you? What's your role here? What's your position? It's like, oh, I'm the producer. Of course you are.
Of course.
Sure. I'll tell you, Mac, I didn't see that sooner.
Yeah. Well, now, talk to me about your latest compositions. Do you want to describe? Can you describe the music, or should we just send people to your Facebook page to check out some clips, or to your other pages?
It's funny. It's like, and this is where bad producer KZ, my esteemed colleague and co-manager here at the drum school, is also responsible for getting you in here in this glorious, wonderful production.
They said yes to me too.
Thank goodness that you've brought this back.
Thank you.
I didn't even acknowledge that. The fact that, you asked something about when we met, or Not Really a Blue Sky and all that, and in your recognizes or saying all these things like, my history musically, and that we met at a blues club, and you had known about Blues Circuit, I think it was at that point in time, it was a closed circuit with my electronica group, and you were doing a night at the 2 Piano Bar?
88 Keys, yeah.
Yeah,
I was down there, yep.
And this is the first time we met, and we just hit it off right off the bat,
Well, yeah.
As if we had any choice. It was like by design.
Well, you're doing the work, getting young people, lighting their fire. You don't have to fill them up with all the information, but getting them excited about this stuff. And that's what Steve and Christy do here at the drum school. That's what you do. All the other teachers do that here, too. I see it. Amy Denayo, everybody's lighting fires.
Lighting fires, and that's it. And that's our passion in life. This is what we bring to the table. This is what we present. And this is what we do.
Yeah.
And then, a word about bringing that back to the compositions and things like that. Yes, there is stuff on like my SoundCloud page, and there's some stuff on the Facebook. And then, most of the stuff I think content that's finished content would be on the closed circuit webpage, which is down by the minute. I have to fix the Google permissions or something like that.
You can't just play music. You got to do all this other stuff. Well, now, where do people find your recordings? Actual CDs, or can they download stuff?
That would, like I said, our website, closedcircuit.com with a K.
With a K.
And it's spelled all messed up.
KLOZD.
Closed.
Circuit with SIRKUT.
Circuit.
Circuit.
Yeah. Closed circuit. Yes, I know Steve does really appreciate that.
Okay. Well, let's see. Your family is here, and you have two daughters. Tell me about you, because they play music too, right? Okay,
No.
maybe.
Yes.
They're getting there?
They're grown. Well, one is out of the house now, so I have a daughter in college now. That went fast. Mm-hmm. Like,
that's Giselle?
Yeah, Giselle.
And what's she
My
studying?
dancing, doctoring daughter. You know, there's a joke there, but...
She's going to be a doctor?
Yeah. She wants to go and... well, she is. She's studying... She's doing pre-med or biology right now as her major. And she is minoring in dance at the University of Arizona. She just left this summer.
And then her sister?
Marielle. Sister Marielle.
Now, she does a little bit of music, right? If I remember right?
She's a fabulous singer. I mean, just ask these two, you know. Yeah, they've been around to witness it. I mean, shoot, Christy, and we tried. This is the thing, they were both little or younger, and I was teaching up the North School. When I first started teaching up there, we wanted to get... My wife and I wanted to get both of them music lessons, because at this point in time, Giselle was in elementary and she's playing cello, 5th grade.
Cool.
And she played cello all the way through the middle school until she had to stop that elective because there was a conflict with a required class. And so she was really upset. I was probably more upset than her because she was really into it. But she'd always been doing dance since she was a toddler. Spectrum School of Dance. And then she got into the academy the last 5 years of high school, which is the upper echelon, you know. And that's when it became very apparent that this was she's going career, all this. And but then she decided she wanted to be a doctor. Before that, I think it was an architect. Anyway, joke is that, like, you know, I was going to have my daughter the dancing doctor, which very well may be true.
Cool.
And then
Probably makes your
Marielle,
brain work better to dance.
Exactly. And now Marielle, so they both were taking lessons, and we really were planning for lessons with you, Christine, but it's like, well, your schedule was full. So she couldn't take Mari. So we had, she's not there anymore, guitar, Joe Doria's, Lori. Wonderful, delightful, you know, girls loved her. So Giselle was taking guitar, and Mari was doing voice and piano, and at one point she was singing Michael Jackson, Ben.
Cool.
Great song, great melody. And Christy had come by the room, I think, or was in the lab or something like that when she was singing and heard her singing this song. And she was like, "Is that Mari? Is that your daughter?"
Right.
And I was like,
just feel
"Yeah,
the
right."
tears dripping, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'm serious. Yeah.
Right.
My daughter was mesmerizing. Is mesmerizing when she sings. I mean,
Right.
even when she was doing gymnastics, you know, her floor routine was amazing. And then there was one time. This is another proud papa moment.
Go ahead.
You know, actually with both of them. Was it like? It was a gymnastics meet. You know, and she's what 5th, 6th grade? No, 5th grade. This is before the pandemic, and pandemic took that away from her, sadly, and she never went back. But she was really good. She was really into it, and she got off the dance path and went into gymnastics. And so we're at a meet, and I'm so obvious as a father, you know, because I'm doing certain things, and some guy, the daddy comes over and he's like, "That's your daughter, isn't it?" And it's like, and I go, "Yeah, she's mesmerizing, isn't she?" And he goes, "Yeah." The same thing happened at a performance at the West Seattle street fair.
Oh, cool.
You know, and the same thing that has happened here. I've had her sing songs with my band camp, and the last few years I've written a song and got something in there that I knew she would be into singing, and the band would have. Case in point was Steven Universe.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
The closing "Love Like Me." You know, that's one of her favorites. She's a big fan of Steven Universe. CeeLo Green. You know, there was an Alicia Keys song in there also. And then recently, one of the music you were talking about, composition. As a teaching artist, I work with an organization that's called Style. And that's songwriting through youth literature education. And it's a kind of a subsidiary program through the Bushwick Book Club. And with that, what we do, we in the classroom and schools and all this kind of stuff, long and short. So the kids read a book, children's book. I write the backing tracks. This is where I get to be officially known as a producer. Yeah. This is good. Everybody's following along.
All right.
I love this part. So we don't have to have a quiz later.
Cool.
And there's a singer-songwriter. We do all this stuff. Now, Bushwick, the the parent organization does this thing every couple of times a year, I think, maybe quarterly. It's called Ink Aloud. Similar thing that what we do in the classroom with the content, we reinvent a song, but what they have was a book club, and they have authors that they're, they feature and all this kind of stuff. So they pair artists up with musicians or bands.
There we go.
So I've done this twice. The second one was like fabulous book. Joy Has a Sound, and it's actually a collection of works curated by these two women. I can't remember their names. They have an organization, not-for-profit, community center sort of thing on Capitol Hill. And I love the title, so I had to write something with that. And I was thinking, and it was suggested I do something with my daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, man, this is going to be a wonderful opportunity. So I wrote a song. We got to perform together live. Cool. And I've been recording it, so I had to finish the recording. So, but I mean, those are the kind of things, proud pop-up moments.
Oh, man, that stuff, I tell parents all the time, do you play music? I ask them all the time, do you play music with your kids? If they play music, one of the coolest things you can do with them is play music with them. I mean, to take that connection with you in the world, to know I got to play music with my mom is just changed me, I'm sure. I would have loved to have recorded with her, but, that's the kind of thing that shoulda, coulda, woulda. So, yeah, I recommend that to every parent. Get involved with your kids musically. Even if you're just doing a one-chord song. Blues has got a lot of one-chord songs. You go right ahead and do one chord.
Absolutely.
And that's what they do at Mojams. They pick one chord, and they just jam on it, and everybody kind of steps in. I don't even know quite how that works. It's not a blues
like
jam,
this.
but it works.
Just like this. Conversation.
Well, and this was only a half an hour. We have to do chapter 2. I'm sorry, but we didn't.
Oh, it's only half an hour. I was hoping for an hour.
I know. See,
I've got so much more to say.
Well, and just all the horn players. There's something I got to talk to you about horns, so we're going to have to do part 2. Chris Littlefield, CD. Thank you so much for a half an hour.
Marlee.
Such an honor. Thank you so much. And I forgive me. Another story is that forgive me for even pausing to think about the opportunity to be here on the podcast. And I was like, what am I thinking? Oh. Yeah, of course. And I sent you a text back, and it's like, I would be honored.
Well, and when I started it, I was like, I know who I have to have on my show. There's people I haven't had on my show yet who are part of the scene and have been part of the scene, and I just missed, we're traveling in different universes, but right in the same parallel. Yeah. So, yeah, so nice to have you here. Also at the drum school. And Steve and Christy, thank you for being part of our audience this afternoon.
Both of them.
Seattle Drum School is where we're at. It is the lab, the little auditorium in the back where we have all kinds of recitals, performances, showcases, holidays are coming. We had a Halloween thing here that it was cool. It was Duwamish history right in front of me going, whoa, that was kind of spooky, but it was cool.
That was a really, really cool
That was awesome.
To be
Again,
assisting and hosting.
Yeah, people putting their creative juices together and doing what they want, and that's what this space is for. Yeah. Mojam is here on the second Sunday at 6 with a youth showcase. Do participate in that. Bring your kids to that one. And we're going to do a Blues to Do party on the 17th of December. In the afternoon, we're going to get our little music stuff on. We're going to jam up here. Scoop said he would do it, and so yeah, I got started. We booked the date. So it's real music, real people, real stories, and all kinds of lessons. Trombone included, right? You teach trombone?
Yeah, trumpet, trombone, and music production. I could see. There's that word again.
There's that word again.
Production.
Give it up
music
for
producers.
CD.
I get to teach music producer.
I got an audience. I want some applause. CD Littlefield, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you,
everyone.
Chris. Thank you so much. Real music, real people, real stories. We'll be back next week.